Hey guys, eToro100 here. Alright, and now here I am with another Land Before Time review. Now here I am with a review for The Land Before Time 8, The Big Freeze. So, yeah, this was the last Land Before Time film that I actually did watch when I was, following these movies when they were originally released. So, yeah, during, the movies run, as they came out and I was following them, yeah, this was when I stopped watching them. So, and so, with this movie, this one, I guess this one is just, all okay, I guess. I mean, no, I really didn't care for this one really much when it was released. I only watched it, once when it first came out. So, yeah, and, yeah, I guess, there's, some good things about this film, but at the same time, it can get, really hit and miss at some points. Like, there are just, a lot of things about it that really don't make sense. And I feel like there are some, like, some real, big problems with it. Yeah, because, yeah, this film is mainly focused on, conflict between Ducky and Spike. Because in this film, Spike is, really, driving Ducky up the wall, and finally, this just is, causing Ducky to finally snap at Spike. But, yeah, when this starts, Ducky really, because she really doesn't get angry very often, and she just really doesn't know, what she's really feeling, and she really just doesn't know how to express her anger. And also, in this film, there's a herd of other Spike tails that come to the Great Valley, and yeah, Spike, gets to be around, his own kind here, and he, befriends another, baby Spike tail that is with the herd, and yeah, and then, throughout this film, Spike becomes more adapted and attached to the Spike tail herd, and so then, it eventually, causes Spike to, kind of, decide whether to stay in the Great Valley with his Ducky and their family, or whether to go with his own kind and stuff. And then, yeah, it's basically, yeah, throughout this movie, it's just showing, Ducky is kind of, showing some, and expressing anger towards Spike. And, yeah, Spike is just, because of the way Ducky is treating him, he just, becomes, more attached over to, the other young Spiketail Tippy, yeah, and the Spiketail herd, and so, yeah. And I guess, this film is, saying that there aren't any other Spiketails in the Great Valley, and this is the first time Spike has really seen other ones, but there have been other Spiketails in the Great Valley, if you watch some of the earlier sequels, it shows that there were other Spiketails in the Great Valley. This isn't the first time Spike has seen other Spiketails in the Great Valley, so yeah, kind of some continuity errors with that going on. Yeah. Yeah. And plus, as this movie gets titled with The Big Freeze, this is, the first time that, it's actually snowed in the Great Valley. And, yeah, the dinosaurs really don't know, well, really what to think of it, because they've never actually seen the snow before, and they really don't really know anything about it, really. And, yeah, basically, in this film, we feel there's, this wise Pachyrhinosaurus named Mr. Thicknose, and he is, said to be, a really wise dinosaur, and he really seems to, be really intelligent and know everything, as the dinosaurs would say. But then, they eventually, end up, just, like, really, complaining to Mr. Thicknose about not knowing about the snow until they end up, saying, just, thinking that he's not really as wise as he's letting on. on and stuff. And yeah, Mr. Thicknose then eventually like revealed that he really isn't as wise as he says he is and stuff. And so yeah, throughout this movie, like we have this subplot of like Mr. Thicknose is like kind of like bonding with Littlefoot, Sarah, Ducky, and Petrie in this, and yeah, it's just showing like he's like running this. Well, he's like teaching the kids stuff about the dinosaur life and stuff, and when this at the beginning of this film, like Littlefoot is like kind of like starting to question all the topics that he's covering, but then and then like in this film, like Mr. Thicknose is like saying that he's just like complaining about Littlefoot's behavior, but then like over time he does see like how good of a kid Littlefoot is and stuff. And so yeah, that's another thing going on with this film. Like we have the stuff with like Mr. Thicknose going on and stuff, and I think that this is like Mr. Thicknose's only appearance in these movies. He's at all. So yeah, I guess like he's just like a character for one film. Yeah, and yeah, I guess like this film like it's kind of interesting to see just how it is. Like this is dinosaur time and it's snowing, and it's showing like there's really no way for the dinosaurs to really keep warm in the snow. Like there's no coats or blankets or anything. They don't have any of that to help keep them warm. So yeah, it's basically like they just have to cope with all the snow. So yeah, it just kind of shows like they basically are freezing and there's really no way for them to really escape it. So yeah, there's that going on. I can't really imagine going through that. I mean, if it's so cold and you got nothing to keep you warm. So yeah, I guess it does kind of like I do kind of think that's interesting to see. But yeah, I guess like yeah, just the conflict between Ducky and Spike is just like I guess it's handled okay, but yeah, Ducky's character just is kind of like just really exaggerated in this film, and yeah, there's just like a lot of things about this film that really just don't make sense. But I mean, I guess it could have been worse. Like this isn't really like a terrible film, just like it really doesn't make a lot of sense, and yeah, really like not personally one of my favorite Land Before Time sequels. Basically, like Secret of Source Rock, not really one of my favorites. I would give this film probably 2.5 stars out of 4. I mean, yeah, just like I guess it's good to see like Spike finally get to bond with his own kind and stuff. So yeah, I guess like it does like show some things that are like good to finally see in Land Before Time movies. But yeah, just like yeah, just with like stuff that really doesn't make sense, and yeah, just like really does like affect the film because it's just like really big flaws with them. But still overall like not a terrible film, like just like okay. So yeah, let me just get right into it. All right, so the movie starts with the opening narration once again. I mean, yeah, it didn't go. It wasn't in Secret of Swords, Rock, or Stone of Cold Fire. So yeah, the opening narration is back with the narrator talking about the dinosaurs. But the narrator was also like talking about how there were really dinosaurs of their own kind and what they could really do. They all had just their own abilities. Yeah, yeah. And then it's just like showing that Spike is just like really driving Ducky up the wall, like I said earlier. Like Spike is just like keeps on keeping Ducky awake at night because of his snoring. And then as they're like being taught by Mr. Thicknose the next day, it's showing that Spike like is actually like eating Ducky's tree stars that their mother actually gave specifically for Ducky. And then yeah, Ducky just really just was finally up a wall, and she just finally snapped and couldn't take it anymore. And then like she was eventually like talking to Sarah about how she really feels differently than what she does, and Sarah was explaining to Ducky that she's mad, and she was just like explaining to Ducky through a song how to really express her anger. And this song is actually pretty catchy. Like, out of the songs in like the later sequels like this is probably one of the most catchy. I think. I mean, this is a song that I really do remember. Just the whole how the beat for the song and just the way Sarah was singing the lyrics. I think it really did match the beat pretty good. Yeah. And then it eventually shows that like as I was saying earlier, like Littlefoot was like questioning the topics Mr. Thicknose was talking about, and and it like was kind of irritating Mr. Thicknose. And Mr. Thicknose was then just like complaining to Littlefoot's grandpa about Littlefoot's behavior, but Grandpa knew that Littlefoot really was not intending to really do any harm, and he was just like explaining to Littlefoot why he should really like be more respectful to Mr. Thicknose. And then it was eventually like also was showing then that Spike then did like eat Tippy, who was like another young Spiketail like him, and also his mom. And yeah, Tippy's mom just told Spike that her Spiketail herd had just come to the Great Valley. Yeah. And eventually then like Tippy and his mom eventually discovered that Spike was had a family of duckbills or swimmers, and were talking to the mother, and yeah, Tippy's mom was just telling like Mother Swimmer, as they referred to her, Mama Swimmer, that it's good of them to take Spike in since there aren't any other Spike Tails in the Great Valley, even though there are. Yeah. And then, yeah, they just asked if they could take Spike back to their herd just for Spike to be with his own kind for a while. And then it was just like showing how Spike was really becoming attached to Tippy and the other Spiketail herd, and it was kind of like really making Ducky jealous because she was really missing Spike, and she just didn't like that Spike was spending all of his time with the Spiketail herd instead of her. And then one night it was then like showing as Littlefoot was like going to sleep. Then there were a few specks of snow falling from the sky, and then Littlefoot was talking about it with his friends and Mr. Thicknose the next day, but they really didn't believe him. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then eventually, like overnight, it then like causes a really big snowfall where like the ground was just covered with snow, and the dinosaurs all woke up with snow on them. And then, yeah, the grown-ups were then just like complaining to Mr. Thicknose about not knowing about the snow falling. And then Littlefoot then revealed that he actually told Mr. Thicknose about it. And then they were just suspecting that Mr. Thicknose really was not as wise as he was. And then it just basically just drove Mr. Thicknose off. Yeah. And it was then like showing, like as the time went on, like the temperatures in the Great Valley were just like really getting colder and colder, and it was really getting hard for them to really find any food because of it being so cold. It was really affecting the lack of food growing in the valley. And eventually, the herd of spiketails then eventually just decided to leave since they did eat more food than a lot of other species do. And since they are like a traveling herd anyway, they then decided to go off to find a new place with food. But then, like, as they were leaving, Tippy's mother was just then, like, basically, like she couldn't actually, didn't know how to say it, but yeah, she was basically asking if Spike could go with them, with his own kind, and she was, like, leaving it up to Spike to choose what he wanted to do. And yeah, Spike just really didn't know what to really do. And then Ducky then just like snapped and basically just told Spike to go anyway. And then yeah, Spike ended up going with the Spiketail herd. And after they left, like Ducky was then like starting to be really upset about what she said and Spike leaving his family. And then they then had a song about like family and stuff. And then eventually Ducky then eventually just decided to sneak away to go after Spike. Yeah. And eventually, like Littlefoot, Sarah, and Petrie, like eventually found out that Ducky had went off, and they knew she was going to find Spike, and they missed Spike too. So then they decided to head off to find Ducky too. But then, as they were heading off, they then like also came across Mr. Thicknose again, and now, once Mr. Thicknose then found out that the kids were going into the mysterious beyond without any permission from adults, he decided to accompany them out to the mysterious beyond. And as they were journeying, there were like a lot of mishaps that were going on. Like Petrie really tried to fly high in the air to see if he could see Ducky or Spike, and it was just then like just causing his wings to freeze. And then Petrie just ended up like falling back down, and it like caused an avalanche that ended up like blocking the entry to the Great Valley. So they ended up like being stuck out there. And it showed like Ducky was on her own trying to find Spike, and she eventually like was pursued by a sharp tooth, and then like she ran back, and then she met, and like she then like ran into Littlefoot, Sarah, Peachy, Mr. Thicknose, and then they all found the sharp tooth, and then they then like just rolled up a huge snowball to knock the sharp tooth out, and then the sharp tooth was knocked unconscious for a very time. And then, like, as they were journeying on, they then, like, we're getting, like, really, like, tired and hungry and thirsty. And then they eventually found, like, a frozen lake of water. And then it eventually broke, and it was, like, then revealed that underneath the ice was, like, a really warm spring. And there was also, like, some green food nearby. And yeah, as they were just then relaxing and warming themselves, also in the spring, that's when Mr. Thicknose then just confessed that his knowledge really like comes from secondary sources and it's not really his own intelligence. And then he just explained that when he was a child, he really listened to stories of other travelers, and he ended up eventually like sharing those stories when he became an adult to other children in the Great Valley. Yeah. Yeah. And then, like, they then tried to contact their parents in the Great Valley and just all the residents of the Great Valley. And even though they couldn't get in because of the snow blockage, Ducky reminded Sarah about what she taught her about the anger. And then, yeah, Sarah just ended up, like, unleashing an enraged scream. And then it caused the snow to fall down, and then yeah, it then allowed all the residents of the Great Valley to pass through to the springs. And then like Spike was able to also smell out the springs, and then he led the herd of spike tails to the spring also. And then it was then showing then Spike reunited with Ducky, Littlefoot, Sarah, and Petrie. But eventually, like as Tippy was playing with Spike some more, Spike ended up like falling into a deeper part of the spring, and like Spike of course wasn't a swimmer, so he couldn't swim. And then it showed at one point then Spike had like was calling for help, and he actually did like say mama at one point. So yeah, it's another time Spike has spoken. And yeah, then yeah, Mama Swimmer then like jumped into the spring and recovered Spike. And then that's when Tippy's mother then discovered that Spike really does belong with his own family rather than the herd of Spike Tails. And so then yeah, she then lets Spike stay with his true family. And then yeah, Ducky then like just promised that she wouldn't get angry at Spike anymore whenever he would snore. And then, yeah, it just ended with the narrator just explaining that the herds then just stayed at the springs as the snow, during the snow age. And once the sun, like, came back up, it was able to melt down all the snow, and then, yeah, it warmed up again, and then the residents were able to return to the valley. And yeah, they all were able to sleep, and no, Ducky didn't get angry. And yeah, that's how it ended. So, yeah. So, like I said, 2.5 stars out of 4. I mean, yeah, not terrible, but just, yeah, a lot of things that really don't make sense, especially like with Ducky's exaggerated character. And yeah, just like the stuff with Mr. Thicknose, I felt really wasn't needed. I felt that that stuff could have been cut. And just, yeah, the continuity errors with like no spike tails being in the valley before. Just like some pretty big flaws for this movie. Yeah, so really not one of my favorites, but yeah, still like it is like okay. Yeah, definitely not a terrible film. Just yeah, not one of my favorites. So yeah, I guess like this is one that you could skip. Like this is really isn't one you need to see. So yeah, I guess if you're interested, it'll be just fine. But yeah, like Secret of Source Rock, if you don't watch it, it won't hurt you. Alright, so yeah, that's it for my review of Land Before Time 8 The Big Freeze. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.